Eric swore he'd call in, but who knows? Maybe he's on a flight, or I don't know. Maybe he's just still recovering, getting the mud off his feet from the mud fest there at Burning Man. You know, who knows?
He's so funny.
He's funny too. Yeah. But anyway, I was just telling the story, and I think it's a fascinating story. You're such an amazing guy, and you know I love you because you are a true musician who really cares. You've taught probably thousands of students how to play ukulele. You fought, and you fought for your studies there. They were going to at one point drop the music class, and you stood up and fought for it, and you won, right?
Yeah, this kind of stuff that happens, when the music doesn't seem as significant, but people in Hawaii do recognize that, and the educational departments and the Department of Education do recognize the importance of music and the arts. So I appreciate the Department of Education very much when it comes to supporting the arts.
I do too. You know what? You've seen it. It makes the difference between some kids loving going to school and not. It makes it. You've heard these stories.
Yeah.
You've heard them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So tell me how it came to be where I saw this story on TV with you and your wonderful class of students there playing ukulele, and then that it's going to be part of this like massive YouTube huge thing.
Yes. And as a matter of fact, it's going to be when you but when you log in to YouTube, it should be Maui Strong, Maui Strong, and all that kind of stuff, or Maui Nui Strong, or Maui Nui. I'm sorry, but they told me that I forgot, but I think it's Maui Strong, and there's going to be a giant billboard in New York Times Square with the address that you can write it into and stuff like that. So it's going to be really cool. They have Times Square as a sponsor. They have a big billboard sponsor. So it'll be great.
Wow.
Yeah. It's going to be really awesome.
Benny, I want someone to put your name up there with that and have someone take a picture of your name in Times Square.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. But we're really, really fortunate, because just to let you know that Kerry Brown, who put this together, how he got a lot of the musicians was when he was asked to support Kelly and the Kings on the biodiesel, their biodiesel product.
Oh, Kelly King, yeah.
Yeah, and so we were. I was on the marquee along with Uncle George Kahumoku and
Lehu Ryder,
and Gretchen Rhodes, and all of us. And so he got close to us, and pretty soon he started calling us and said, "What can we do?" And we all got together in our little way. We knew that others such as Henry Kapono and a lot of our great Hawaii musicians were getting together at the incredible Mac, and they were doing all kinds of stuff. Kerry just called me up and I said, "Hey, yeah, let's do something on our own." But he's worked with Maui, Music Cares, and he's worked with people like the Academy of Recording Arts and stuff like that.
Music Cares is a part of the Academy of Recording Arts Grammys.
That's so. It's going to be. He's going to reach out to them, and so that's what we've been doing. Aside from the fact that we had coverage this week because of the hard work that Chelsea Davis from Hawaii News Now we decided to introduce her and to interview her on how it was to be in the front lines of it all, along with all the first responders. And so it was really a great, great thing. I can't say much for what Kerry does. It's more than I could ever ask for him. He's been such a great person and who's trying to really help along like everyone else who's doing it. Kerry is no different than anyone else, but Kerry's heart is really big. So we're really happy for what he's doing, you know.
Well, it's interesting because I had not heard of his studio in Haiku, called Rolling Live Studios. And I didn't, but then again, and I know, Benny, there's a lot of people out there that kind of stay under the radar, and they aren't necessarily out there, out too much promoting what they're doing because they've got their own little thing going on. And I just assume he's like that because have you ever even seen a studio or been at a studio?
I've seen a studio, but it actually comes out. I will let Terry come out one time to bring that up, but his studios is actually in Los Angeles.
Oh.
And so that's that's where he's at.
Okay.
It's and so his studio that he's been recording here is, just for a labor of love, getting together with friends and who came in and stuff like that, and so at another time we can maybe speak about that. But for right now, his thing is actually in Los Angeles with Licorice Pizza, which is a music production as well, and Rolling
Benny Licorice Pizza Records was huge, and in the day when I lived in Los Angeles, it was huge. But I didn't even know it was around anymore. There's very few record places like that around anymore. I
know. So, I think it's fun of Jerry. He said, "Licorice Pizza, what the heck is that?" But everybody seems to know that they're a great force in in continuing music and. The idea, the idea of vinyl, for example, it's really a great business that he has, And right now he has a friend of mine. His name is Brian Alley, who was one of the great sales persons for the Roland Corporation, and now he has Roland with musical products.
Yeah,
and I got
that's
to know,
huge.
Brian in the last couple weeks, and what he's doing for Kerry, he's going to be, hopefully he'll be Kerry's CEO one of these days. I don't know when that will happen, but they're taking care of his business as far as this production with Maui Nui, Maui Strong.
It's amazing. Now, of course, we all know, we've all heard the stories, but we certainly know that Gretchen and Mick. So often, Mich Fleetwood's place was so many magic moments, so many great people played there. I remember the opening with Steven Tyler, of course, and Willie Kay, of course, so often. Of course, so many wonderful people. Mick would always be there, and this wonderful drum set. And Gretchen, I've been a fan of Gretchen's forever. In fact, I think I had her very first recording. She did a piece when I had Fulton Tushambi do. She did a piece that I wrote called A Greater Purpose. And that was ages. That was over 15 years ago, and I knew she had an amazing voice. But she's just blossomed and done. I am a huge fan of Gretchen Rhodes.
She is the most beautiful singer, the most beautiful person, and just a beautiful person in general. And I met her one of the very first times performing with Lenny Castellanos and Duke Dad, and also Kenny Geiser, and you never met Gretchen? I said, no, I don't meet Gretchen, and and of course Gretchen has a wonderful husband and a wonderful family that she's just really, you know her, she's so great, and so I'm proud to know her too. I heard their recording, and when I saw them, they did it with Mick, and oh my gosh, it was at Terry's, and it was incredible. So I'm fortunate in that response to see the great people, and of course people did bring up the fact that in this concert too, Lukas will be there as well. Lukas Nelson.
Lukas Nelson is such a gem. I'll tell you, that guy blows me away. He could be on such an ego trip because he's played with Lady Gaga's band and he's done all these huge things. He really, he's
hip.
He's and of course, growing up with Willie, he's met all. He also played behind Neil Young. He was Neil Young's, and the guys.
What's so great?
The guy's absolutely amazing. I love Lukas and what he does and his music. So,
and he was raised on Maui
of course,
all his whole life, and
I
when I
interviewed
went-
him when he was 15 years old at the Mac. When I had a radio show at the Mac, and I interviewed him when he was 15 years old. I'm sure he doesn't remember, but he and his brother, Mika, absolutely amazingly beautiful souls. Really, truly beautiful souls.
we had a really great connection. It was really nice to see him. It was late evening. It was on a Sunday evening. I came home from the mainland, and I went to check him out and at Carrie's, and he recorded, and I was recording, and it was really quite an experience to even listen to this guy. Yeah, the kid's a stud, right? And you just walk in there, and
Yes.
he comes in and he starts singing, and everybody's in awe and stuff like that, and I going like, what the heck? And we started to jam. He had his guitar lele, and he had another guitar, and I played his guitar. It was fun. He's absolute great. He's a gem, Yes.
You are absolutely right. That's a perfect term. He is a gem. So have this all been pre-recorded to play back, or has it? Is it in the process, or is there going to be anything live? Or
I'm jumping into real quick. Yes, as a matter of fact, it is being. As we speak, there's a lot of people. Stewart Copeland from the Police, I think he did something with his drums, and we heard some other things as you might have heard on the radio. I mean, with Chelsea Davis and Hawaii News Now, even Ziggy Marley, and
wow.
it's such a great thing because Ziggy, is one of his first concerts. He played on Maui at the Maui Civic Center, where my friend Francois Kahali and myself opened his show, and it was the greatest experience I've ever had.
Wow.
To play in front of a true reggae show, and the spirit of these people that come from that part of the world, and how they brought their hospitality here. They received it great in Hawaii, but they also brought their culture here. It was so similar, and that's why we play so much of like their style of music, because the connection is incredible.
No, you're absolutely right.
Ziggy being, I guess, Bob's
son,
oldest son, was really great. And as I got to meet him, I got to be able to play before him, and I got to hang with him right before we went on stage. They even did how awesome is this? They even did a prayer for us before we went on stage. That's how awesome that concert was.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine that. Mm-hmm. People were talking memories of what happened too in the old days. Remember in Lahaina, the tennis courts and the center there, they had music, and someone reminded me that Bob Marley actually played there in Lahaina ages ago.
Isn't it something? Yeah.
Yeah. So
he did play there.
Yeah.
In the 70s.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, ages ago, obviously. But I mean, and of course he's Ziggy and the family's actually played on Maui quite a few times and has come here quite a few times. But I'm sure Ziggy wasn't here. He was probably in Los Angeles recording, correct?
Yeah, that's right. He was at Rolling Live Studios, and he was recording over there. And they were videoing and stuff like that.
So
there's going to be a lot of people that would be on there. I can't think of all of them, but I know that for sure you will be part of it. Well,
so what are you doing? Are you having your kids from the school playing ukulele, or what's your role in this?
Okay, well, my part is we're going to have it's going to be steal very much from what you guys already have seen. I was working with our Hawaiian immersion kids who is in my ukulele program, and Kula Kaiopuni, and this is Hawaiian immersion. Hawaiian speaking students that started from Punana all the way up to Paia school and all the way up to my classes and stuff, and their wonderful instructor, one of the many, Kumu Kiani, along with these Kui Kahi Linani, all these great teachers. They instill so much of love and the culture and continue to do that, and their firmness to make the utmost to teach them the utmost respect of the culture, and that also goes beyond the culture. These kids are so beautiful, and they were showcased a little bit. Chelsea Davis was filming the film crew, filming us. So I did tell them what they're going to see on YouTube will not be like how Chelsea did it, because it's going to be them really featured.
Yeah.
And we're doing a couple songs, and then I was interviewed, and Uncle George was interviewed. And,
did George come up and record too?
George, they went to George.
Oh,
and so that's all I know. But they, and George,
Well, he probably got them all picking the stuff and taking care of stuff on the ranch.
They had lunch. They were eating the fruit. They, him. They're gonna go all out and stuff like that. He always wonders why I don't go out there, because I don't want to drive on that road. I'm sorry, but
I'm the same.
Unless somebody drives and I can fall asleep before we drive, I would go, but I'm a chicken.
Benny, I have known George for 30 years, and I have never been out to his ranch.
I know, see?
I have never, because I don't like that road at all. And can you imagine all the people that were driving there during the fire, trying to get out of there in the middle of the night with all the people who didn't know it?
I know.
Oh, my gosh. I can't even imagine.
But it's not to say that we shouldn't talk people out of going there, because his hospitality is probably much greater than that drive.
Oh, he's legendary.
Right.
Legendary,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But his house is for sale, and I just hope he doesn't sell it. I'm sorry, George. I mean, I don't want. He's so much a part of our life here. He's such a gem again. So, I mean, that's going to be classic to see. I bet they planned on about an hour or two, and it probably took 7 or 8 hours to film that segment. You know what I mean?
I know, I tell you, yeah. But they have a great film crew that Maui has to offer, and so very first class. And so we had a witness of that. I mean, I did. I had an attestment to how great these kids are. Mark and Miles, they just do a great job. And they work with Carrie, but they're local contracted kids, but young men, but they do a great job.
So, what song did you choose to have with this huge gathering?
Who, me?
Yeah, what song? You said you had 2 songs you did.
Oh no, well the kids did Hawaii Aloha. Mm-hmm. and mahalo to all the people that were helping. It's a mahalo song, and they're all excited when they heard that Ziggy was going to be on it and stuff like that, and they were going to be on the same format as Ziggy and stuff like that.
Of course.
They interviewed me, and I did a song that I wrote, so you guys will have a chance to hopefully hear it, see what happens.
Yeah. No, yeah. I really respect you, not just for the work you do with your students, but as a player, as a great ukulele player, and as a guitarist. I mean, great, and also as a songwriter. You really have had an amazing background where you've opened up for so many people, in so many concerts in so many ways. And always just full of aloha and always humble, but. And I know, your background's truly amazing. So I think it's great that you got to be a part of this amazing event that's going to be, taking what you do worldwide and being able to be seen worldwide. And also think of all the people who will be sending money to help through this amazing YouTube event, right?
Yes. And we're hoping that's the purpose of what Carrie has done it many times, and like our great musicians and our great fundraiser that Hawaii does, for example, they're going to do a large one at the Mac, and that's going to be outstanding. And the Mac does incredible work. Art does it. He gives the ball to people, and they just do incredible things. And like that, Carrie decided to take it his way, and hopefully just a little bit further as far as taking it off the islands to do that. Carrie has done things for hurricanes and fires throughout the United States, and he's hoping that his successes could lead to help our people and their time of loss and their time of grieving and all like that. And we don't want to impose in any way of anybody's grieving. We just want to, and it's not to bring joy. It's just for people to bring an awareness of the love and beauty of how Hawaii people support their own people.
Yes.
You know, and how we aloha automatically came in the picture as soon as the first fire burned. You know,
Yeah.
I mean the first.
I got Eric Gilliom on. He came out of the mud. He emerged from the mud. And Eric, you know Benny Uyetake, right?
I know, and I love Benny Uyetake. Hi, Benny.
I love that, Gary. Hey, I heard that you was in the mud, dude. How was it?
Yeah, it was a very unexpected situation, but
I know I'm laughing, but I'm
first
I'm
I
not.
want to say
I'm sorry.
Just all of my love and heartfelt condolences to everybody. We've all been going through this really tragic situation, and I had scheduled to leave to go and perform at this event, so I departed, and it didn't quite play out the way I thought it was, but I just got home yesterday, happy to be home and to be back into our wonderful community supporting what's going on.
Yeah. Well, Benny, thank you for calling in. I love you, and keep us posted.
I'm going to have to. I want to say something. I'm going to put this handsome young man on the spot. Someone who I've loved and respected since he started his career up on the island of Maui. When I was part of some of the events that my friend Wendell Warren put together with this guy, Eric Gilliom. How much I love him, but by the way, just letting you know, I don't know if I should do this or not, but Carrie Brown, the producer of this production that we're doing for Maui, Gretchen shared with him that you wrote a great song that I love called Honopo.
Yes.
He lives on the Honopo property, brother. So he wants you to reach out to him, or he'll reach out to you in some way. So I really would love you to get to know Carrie Brown, because Carrie's such a great dude.
Be happy to.
Have you heard of Kerry Brown? He's putting on this huge event. Benny and Mich Fleetwood and Gretchen Rhodes and Ziggy Marley and a whole bunch of people are going to be a part of it on YouTube, and it's going to be worldwide. And I hadn't heard of him. He lives in Haiku. He's one of those where I guess his studio's in Los Angeles. He's the owner of Licorice Pizza Records, and so somehow Benny and everyone got hooked up, and Lukas also. Don't want to forget Lukas. Lukas is part of it as well. So isn't that amazing? Because one of my favorite songs you've done, Eric, is Honopo. That's one of the most beautiful songs you've done.
One of the greatest songs ever written in Hawaii, I believe.
Yeah.
But I got to go to my teacher's meeting.
I'll let you go, Benny.
Eric, I love you, and you too. And
Love you too, Bob. See you soon.
Okay. So tell me, I want to hear a little bit. First of all, let's say, of course, thank you for calling, Eric. I know it's been crazy times, and of course, you are going to be starting White Hawaiian up again. I don't know when, but it'll be on Sundays. Do you know when you're going to start that up again?
Yeah, it's running on 2 islands now, every Thursday on Kauai. So I'm flying to Kauai tomorrow to do the show, and then I come home, and we're going to do one every Sunday now at Pro Art. Sunday at 3 p.m. is our regular showtime for White Hawaiian at the Pro Arts Theater in Kihei.
And Rocky Horror, I just sent the information over to be a sponsor for the Rocky Horror Picture Show. We're going to be giving, it's not Picture Show, it's a Rocky Horror Show, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
The Rocky Horror Show is happening again this year. I'm on my way to rehearsal here shortly. And you know, it's been hard for everybody to make a decision on, like, you know, when do we do these things, and do we even come back as a community, and when do we come back as a community to start, you know, supporting restaurants and shows and musicians. And so we've been waiting as long as we possibly can to let things play out. As of course, that's going to take years and years and years. But we collectively decided, that we can start to put some stuff out there, because I do believe that in times like this, when you look past in history, entertainers and musicians, this is a time when we do need them. People do need a break. This is an unprecedented, tragic situation, and so I've been reaching out specifically to families and to first responders and people, and inviting them to just, if they need a break and they want to come see the show, and they just want to maybe just change the channel and be reminded, that we live in a beautiful place and we have a beautiful culture, and just that we can, we as entertainers can create and do our part is creating opportunities to take a break.
Well, and that has happened in an interesting way. For example, Keola Beamer and Jeff Peterson. Keola, his house survived, but all of his neighbors pretty much burnt down, and he was really and just shocked about the whole thing. And he decided to, of course, turn the event they had at McCoy into a benefit. And he and Jeff played, and there were tears when he started to talk about it. How could there not be? But at times he would. But the beautiful thing is Jeff being so sympathetic and is a nice son. They played even more beautifully as one with that heartfelt feeling, and they were able to raise, with the help of certain auction items, $50,000 from that concert at the McCoy. And beyond that, there was this feeling of real love, real aloha, and real appreciation of the beauty of the islands. Thank you to Tom Vendetti and what he put on with that. So those things, I think, are really healing things, Eric. As you know, music heals, and I think these things with the music that's being done by so many, it's all very healing and very helpful as far as raising funds and all that as well, too. So yes, but I'm going to backtrack. You got to Burning Man. You've gone for about, 6 or 7 years at least? How many years have you been going to Burning Man?
This is my 15th.
Oh, my God, I didn't realize that. So you were there in the earlier days.
Well, I was actually kind of late to the party because it started in 1997.
Wow.
So I didn't go till 2010.
Oh.
And, it's the one time a year. I mean, I do 300 shows a year, and I work constantly. And it's the one time a year that I take a break and I go and I get rejuvenated and I get, reinvigorated and inspired by seeing truly fantastic art and music and bands, and just it's such an amazing event that I've been dedicated, and I'm part of the community there, and I go early and I build the city, and it's it's a lot of work. It's not just a big old party. I mean, we have fun for a good portion of it, but it's a lot of work.
Uh-huh.
And we got there this year. Everything was going fantastic. They did say, hey, we got some rain on the way, and in the 15 years that I've been going, it had never rained. I'd never been out there when it rained, and I'd heard horror stories about, man, you don't want to be here when it rains. Well, it rained, and it rained hard, and it basically put this whole city into lockdown, and so we just couldn't go anywhere. And so the organization, the event people said, you can't drive a car, you can't ride a bike, you can't even walk, because the playa is basically clay, and every step that you take, you grow 4 inches, and by the time you take 4 or 5 steps, you've got 40 pounds of mud stuck to the bottom of your feet. So they basically encourage people, for safety reasons, to don't move, don't go anywhere, just stay where you're at, and just make the best of the situation. And we did that for a couple of days, but then they reached out to everybody at the event and said, we are not going to open the gates, and we're not allowing anybody to drive a car or ride a bike, because you can get stranded really easy. And so they said, please don't go anywhere. And so we didn't. But then Sunday came around, and I started thinking, well, wait a minute. If I can't get back to Maui by Wednesday or Thursday, I'm going to miss my show in Kauai. I don't know what's going to happen here. So my girlfriend Deborah and I and a fireman friend of mine said, you know what, we're going to walk out. So we packed our backpacks and we walked 5.5 miles in the absolute ankle-deep trudging mud. It took us a long time to get all the way to the highway, but we made it.
So they said that it was so thick with that mud and so slippery, and that the mud was alkaline. No, I mean, I've been in mud. I've gone to the, Dead Sea where you take mud baths, but I guess this kind of mud isn't that kind of mud where you want to take a mud bath in it, right?
I saw the thing on whatever it was, Entertainment Tonight or CNN last night, and they're making a big deal. That's frankly that's a bunch of nonsense.
Okay.
The first day that it happened, I wandered around barefoot in the mud because it was easier to walk around. Yeah. And no, there was no. That was a bunch of nonsense. That was a bunch of hype. Nothing happens to your feet. It's just mud. And,
so did you walk barefoot out, or you had to have shoes? 5 miles is a long.
I put on. I put on some hiking boots, and we just had to walk slow because it was really hard to walk. But we made it out, and you're talking about an event where people arrive there with a sense of radical self-reliance. There was plenty of water. There's plenty of food. There was plenty of everything. It was not like if it was going to happen to any community of people, Burning Man people are people that are already predisposed to be. It's a very difficult environment to begin with. Before the mud, before the rain. So we're already like in survival mode when we're out there. So everybody did fine. There was an unfortunate death that happened that somebody that got electrocuted from a cable that was coming from a generator in the water. That was but considering that there were 80,000 people, the statistics are, it went as well as it possibly could.
So you didn't make it to the actual, I guess some people stayed to the actual burning of the Burning Man. But you were gone.
No, that's 2 years in a row. I didn't make it until the actual burn of the man because we left on Sunday, and the event had been postponed before they postponed it 2 days to even open the event.
Oh.
For the people to even come build the city because there was a hurricane coming through there.
Oh my!
So we were already way behind schedule, and so they kept the band got postponed. The burning of the man didn't happen until I think either last night or the night before.
Yeah.
So but, hardcore. There's still a lot of people out there, and they stayed the course. And once the playa dried, the event resumed back to normal.
Yeah, but you know what you saw? I think you were smart to walk out. You saw that traffic. Would you have wanted to be stuck in traffic for 10 hours?
Well, I'm never stuck in that traffic. I was stuck in that traffic back when I first went back in 2010, 11, and 12, and then I was like, not doing that. The organization, the Burning Man organization, provides because they are really trying to reduce the carbon footprint, and so they put a bus system together. You can take what's called the burner bus, and they have their own lane out of there, and you don't wait in that. And the whole reason why all that traffic is there, there's a reason why that traffic is like that. Is because you got to remember the getting to Burning Man, the road to Burning Man is basically the equivalent of the road to Hana. It's a small 2-lane highway that you can't dump 80,000 people on a road like that. You have to. It has to be a measured system that you're just letting people out at a very slow rate. So, and a lot of people that are in the line, I mean, these people that are in RVs, they've got, you can turn your car off and sleep for a couple hours if you need to. So, it's difficult, but that's just part of the experience.
So how long did it take you to walk 5 miles in the mud?
We did pretty good. We did it in just over 2 hours. We were on a mission, so we were like,
whoa,
head down. I had a 40-pound backpack. Deborah had a backpack. My buddy Bo. We drew a straight line, and we just kept walking. And we knew that the burner bus was going to meet us on the highway because they couldn't come into the event because of the mud, but they were still running out on the highway. So it was just over 2 hours, and then we had to wait about another 2 hours in a long line of several hundred people that they were trying to bus out of there. But it was very organized. I mean, they had it together. It wasn't like complete, utter chaos,
I can't believe you could have done that in the mud in 2 hours. That's mind-blowing, Eric. You're in good shape. It's a good thing you stay in shape, huh?
It's funny because leading up to going to the event every year, I always, I always do several months of really hardcore training, which I needed to do anyway because the month of October is going to be really challenging for me because I'm
Yes.
doing White Hawaiian on Maui, White Hawaiian on Kauai, and I'm doing the Rocky Horror Show. So I'm essentially doing, whatever it's going to be. There's a lot of performances, and so I just was, I got in shape and went to the gym every day, and it helped.
So how about Deborah?
Sure.
How about Deborah in that mud?
Yeah, she was running 3 miles a day for the last 2.5, 3 months.
Wow.
And she was in great shape. She was a trooper. She walked out right alongside me, and she made it the whole way. I'm the one that's actually short today. My knee's kind of blowing out a little bit, but we made it out.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah. So the 2 hours and then 2 hours online. So about, you know what? That's not too bad. 4 hours to get out compared to everyone else that was so stuck there for a long time. You probably made the right choice.
Yeah. I mean, if you come with an RV, which I don't, if you're in a car, if you have to drive out of the event, you can get stuck in that big line.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw a lot of those buses and RVs. I mean, there's a ton of them. I'd say it looked like almost a third of the places were the big RVs and buses. And I'd heard that people helicopter in as well, but I guess not. I'd heard that people do helicopter in and out, but I guess they couldn't.
Well, I mean, it's not. Well, there were a few helicopters that were around, but Burning Man has, when the event is running, properly, they have an airport. They make up a sort of a temporary airport. And there's when the event's happening, there's several hundred small planes that are parked out on the wherever the tarmac that they have out there, which is basically just the playa itself. But I didn't see a lot of helicopters. There's a lot of really strict rules. You can't just do things like that. There were I saw a few helicopters. I didn't see anybody come in. I think they were bringing in like emergency helicopters in for people that were having some emergency issues. But even Chris Rock, as you saw on the news, he walked out.
Wow, amazing.
Yep.
So I wouldn't want to have a small plane and have it stuck in mud out there either. That might be a mess trying to just get those together. But you were part of history, of course. I guess it sounds like the people who run it and everything. What was their take about anything that might change? Obviously, with climate change, are they looking at making any changes for the coming years?
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, with the exception of the mud, the event ran pretty right on. I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. That they just okay, if there's some rain, they postponed it, and then the event ran pretty smoothly up until it rained again, and then, it just takes a little more time of getting out of there. I think the biggest issue that's going to come on the heels of the event is going to be that, there's going to be a lot more sort of abandoned bicycles and cars and things that are left behind in this year than normal.
Yeah.
The organization is going to have a much more difficult time because one of the principles of Burning Man is leave no trace.
Yeah.
And they take that extremely seriously.
Uh-huh.
For example, in our camp alone, they every camp of there's 2,500 camps at Burning Man. So, and some of them range in very large camps, like our camp, down to 2 people in a tent. And then your space that you have at Burning Man, there is they come through and they do an analysis, and they determine on your little plot of land that you've been assigned, if you leave trash, it's a color grading thing.
Oh.
It goes from nothing to red, yellow, and then if you've got a bunch of red marks on your map, you risk the chance of never being asked back again.
I had never heard that. That's very interesting. Wow. So
they will. It's not. It is by no stretch a free for all. Burning Man runs on a set of principles, and the principles are really managed very well. And there are several months after the event that people, they have a whole hundreds of people that are scouring every inch of the event. And then they do an analysis, and you get graded. And if your grading is bad, they will flat out tell you you will not be invited back to Burning Man the next year.
Well, it's not a matter of invited, is it? I mean, I thought you could just go. I mean, you have to be invited, or you can get uninvited? I wasn't aware of that.
Well, no. I mean, so the vast majority of Burning Man are are camps that are registered. And so if you wanted to start the Kauai Radio Group camp, then you would reach out to the Burning Man organization and say, hi, we were coming from Maui, and we're going to start the Kauai Radio Group camp. And they're going to say, oh, fantastic. Well, what do you guys do? And you say, well, we're going to show up, and we're going to provide a radio station that plays reggae music. And they go, okay, cool. That's what you're going to do. And then how many people do you need in your camp? And you say, well, we need 20. There's going to be 20 people in our camp. And they say, great. Well, what are you guys going to do? Well, we're going to have a big tall radio tower, and we're going to do something cool, and it's going to be decorated, and it's going to have it's going to be broadcast from Maui. And they go, okay, well, far out. And I say, great. So you have 20 people in your camp. We're going to guarantee you 20. How many people do you need to build your camp? And they say, well, it's going to be 20 people total, but we need 8 people to build the camp. And they go, great. Here's guaranteed 8 people, 8 tickets, so you can build your camp. Great. Have a good luck. Have a good time, and we'll come by, and we're going to come. And by the way, your camp, and then they keep the placement team calls you, and the placement team says, okay, go. You're going to be in this one specific spot. That's where the Kauai Radio Coop Reggae Tower from Maui is going to be, and that's your little spot.
Well, I want you
can
to
invite whoever you.
I want you to be in charge of that with Shaggy next year, okay? And you can help us have the Kauai Radio Group Reggae Tower out there for Burning Man, and we'll try not to get electrocuted if it rains. Well, I'm just about out of time, but I'm so glad you called. You're staying so busy, and your site is still White Hawaiian, right?
WhiteHawaiian.com. We're going to do a show this Sunday. I invited on the flight home. There were a bunch of people that were flying, not a bunch. The plane was only about a third full flying in from Phoenix.
Wow.
But a lot of the people I asked around me, they said, yeah, we wanted to come and support Maui just by coming. And,
yes.
And I said, well, come and see the show. So I got a bunch of people coming to the show.
Good.
This weekend. Like I said, I've invited a bunch of first responders and anybody that needs, needs a change of pace. And we're going to do a show this weekend, 3 o'clock at the Pro Arts Theater in Kihei. Go to whitehawaiian.com.
We're out of time, but I thank you so much, and we'll be in touch. Much aloha.
Okay, thanks, Cindy.
Thank
Aloha.
you. Aloha.